welcome to Desert Island Comics. And our guest today is the current reigning UK Comics Laureate. She's the first woman to hold that role. And during her tenure, she's set up programs using comics to help young people in prison, youngsters with English as a second language, and she's also undertaken the first ever national analysis of the size and diversity of the British comics industry, which I will be asking her about soon. All this in addition to being the author of 3 utterly brilliant graphic novels, ranging from magical realist detective noir in Britain and Brew Likely to piercing satire of celebrity culture and social media in Livestock. She is the inimitable Hannah Berry. Welcome to Desert Island Comics, Hannah.
Hi. Hello. Welcome to my island.
Hello. First question I wanted to ask you, just before we get on to your comic choices, is, did you yourself grow up reading comics as a child?
Yeah. So the first comics that I really read was one of my choices. What a nice segue.
Okay, well, should we go into your first choice then?
I mean, I guess so, because I've just spoiled it now. It was Calvin and Hobbes. I mean, I was really obsessed with it as a kid. So Calvin is the age of 6, and I was obviously reading it at the age of 6. I remember thinking, oh, his vocabulary is so much better than mine. I didn't know the word vocabulary probably at the age of 6, but I remember thinking, oh, he's so much cleverer than I am. He knows so many more words, and I was really jealous as a 6-year-old. I didn't realize, obviously, now looking back, it was written by a grown man. But you don't think these things when you're a kid. You think, yes, this has been written by the protagonists.
Yeah, he wasn't that old when he wrote it.
No, he was probably in his 20s, wasn't he?
Late 20s.
Like, disgustingly young.
So what is it about this strip that is so important to you?
I think they were really fun, but they had a very wry sense of humour. It was this story of a delinquent 6-year-old called Calvin and his toy stuffed tiger, Hobbes, who came to life in his imagination. So whenever the adults left the room, Hobbes would come to life, and it was just a really sweet friendship. And Hobbes is this very sort of genteel and optimistic character, and then faced off with up against Calvin's slightly less altruistic ways, and but they were really funny, and they were very dry but very, I mean, mature, but not in a Doonesbury kind of way, not in like this is for adults sort of way, in the sense that there was nothing really there was nothing like wacky and hey kids about it, and I think that's kind of what appealed to me. I think also one of the things that put me off a lot of comics growing up was that it's comics that were very specifically like gender oriented. I was not into, these comics are for boys and these comics are for girls, and now you must read these because you have matching genitals with these characters. That was just a really repellent thing growing up, and I wasn't interested in the content for either. And so Calvin and Hobbes, which was just fun characters and a really lovely friendship between the two. It was sweet. It could be quite dark at times, but it was very sweet.
All the way through it, there's a sense of sort of yearning for maturity.
Yeah, I think so. But also the really reveling in childhood, really sort of taking that child bull by the horns. Mm-hmm. That's not a phrase. Let's not use that.
No, I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Calvin's outward behaviour to the other characters, to his parents, is squarely that of a 6-year-old. But the payoff...
I don't know, because my daughter's only 2, so I'll let you know in 4 years' time.
No, but I mean, his outward behaviour is that of a child.
Yeah.
But the payoff to each strip is that you see what is going on in his mind, and you realise that what is going on in his mind is something that anybody of any age can relate to.
That's true, yeah.
So in a sense, we are all Calvins, aren't we? Because we've all got...
Oh, it's getting very deep. I love it.
Sorry. But the point is, what it shows is that children actually don't have childish thoughts. They have the same thoughts.
No. Yeah, I think they have thoughts like adults, but they just don't know how to articulate them necessarily.
Precisely. And that's...
probably are frustrated by that and then act out.
Yeah. Why do we teach our children to be so trusting of dangerous animals? You know, tigers, you've got the tiger, you've got Tigger, you've got Hobbes. It's a dangerous animal.
Good point. My daughter's favourite toy is a cuddly tiger as well. So this is maybe I should just to teach her how they really are. I should just out of the blue attack her with the tiger.
Okay, or show us some news stories about, you know, what zookeepers
mauled people. People have been mauled by a tiger.
Well, I think that's enough on Calvin and Hobbes. And oh no, we have to also. What you're taking the complete works of Calvin and
All
Hobbes?
of them.
But since Calvin and Hobbes only lasted a decade, you can have the lot.
Thanks, Bill Watterson.
Now, I remember, was it 2 or 3 years ago? You nearly gave up being a comic artist.
What I actually said was, I'm never going to do another graphic novel, but I'm still doing comics. And I could never quit comics anyway. Comics are the best. They're the best thing. But I just couldn't financially find a way of committing to doing another graphic novel, because it's several years of work with very, very little cash, and especially, you know, I just burnt out. I'm old now. That's a young person's game.
Was that decision linked to your survey?
Yes, it very much was. You know, comics are such a brilliant medium, such a fantastic art form, and there's so much potential in it. But I think maybe because historically we're used as comics creators to being exploited and accepting really pitiful terms, but it's just nigh on impossible to make a living out of it. And I wanted to see if, so the survey came about because I wanted to see if that really was the case. So yeah, they found there's a problem. What was quite surprising was the scale of income. I think the average income is something like £10,000 from comics, but that's the average income. Most people are earning less than that, and the scale goes from 0 to 180 grand, which is I mean, that was a surprise. It's not me, in case anyone was wondering. I mean, that's actually quite good to know, because it means that, you know, you can make a real success out of it, and we can hold creators up and say, you know, this is what people can achieve with, you know, the right opportunities.
Lots of comic artists are having to do other jobs to make ends meet at the same time.
Yes, 87% of comics creators have another regular source of income alongside comics. So there's very few people that are doing just comics by themselves. The highest earning bracket was over £50,000, and that was less than 1% of comics creators. So there's a very strong case for better representation, better industry standards, as well as just more money. Okay, let's
pause that for a moment, because I think it's time for your next island choice. What's it going to be?
The next choice is Cassandra Dark by Posey Simmons.
Okay, and what now? And this is her most recent book, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Why have you chosen? Tell us about this and why you've chosen it.
So this is a book about, it's a kind of a murder mystery in a way, about a cantankerous old lady and a slightly feckless younger lady. The cantankerous older lady is the eponymous Cassandra Dark, and she, I've got so much time for cantankerous older ladies in fiction. It's so rare to find a female misanthrope, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, you find like male ones all the time, loads everywhere, and so I'm treasuring this one. It was just a delight. Posey Simmons is an inherently funny woman. I've had the pleasure of getting to know her a little bit over the last few years. She actually, when I first started out and I didn't know anybody at all in comics, and my first graphic novel, Britain and Brightly, available from all good bookshops, came out, she sent me a little note to say, I enjoyed the book, well done. Yeah. Just out of nowhere. Who does that? Yeah. She's a lovely woman.
And just note to viewers, if you watch Posey Simmons' Desert Island Comics, then you'll see she has in fact chosen Britain and Brew Likely as one of her Desert Island choices.
Hey. We didn't have an arrangement before this.
If she's on the next door island to you, you can wave to each other.
I'll send her some smoke signals.
Okay, yeah. Or some smoked salmon, which would be nice.
Or some smoked salmon. I'll catapult over a macaque or something.
But I mean, I agree. I think Cassandra Dark is an absolute work of genius.
this is why I want to take it on my island, is because I've read it several times now, and every time I've read it, I've discovered something new in the background. It's so acutely observed.
Quite near the start, there's a crowd picture, isn't there?
Yeah, she's shopping.
Yeah, she's going shopping, and the detail of every single person in it.
Yeah, and everyone's on their phones.
I don't know how artists do this, so maybe you could tell us. But your eye is instantly drawn in a sort of anti-Where's Wally way to the location of Cassandra in that picture. And
it's all about composition, dear boy. Oh.
How? She's got a picture that's got about 100 people in it.
It's art magic.
Art magic.
Art magic.
Please,
that's what she's done.
How do you do it? How do you do the trick?
It's usually with composition, and I like to use a little contrast as well. You know,
I think maybe her face is slightly darker.
Yeah, I think 'cause she's quite a heavy colour. She sort of stands out as sort of a heavier block of colour.
Right. And there is, of course, that huge red arrow pointing at her.
That's also, yeah. And also because she's looking at you. I think when you're looking at a group of people, your eye, as soon as you spot somebody else who's looking back at you, they kind of stick in your mind.
Yeah. And the other thing about it, of course, is it's a Scrooge story, isn't it? It's a Christmas story.
Yeah. I think it ends at Christmas as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, the whole thing is a successive Christmas.
Over Christmas. Oh no, it's past Christmas.
Yeah, it's Christmas past and Christmas present.
Yeah. You're right. I hadn't thought of that.
And she is a Scrooge character. You know, she's a classic sort of Christmas humbug, and at the end, she's learnt to love all humanity in a way, hasn't she?
Well, let's not go that far. But yeah, she's yeah, I think that's what I quite like, is that she doesn't really, she changes, but it doesn't. It's very underspoken. It's you get the sense that she's changed. There's no great speeches on the joys of humanity.
Mm-hmm. All right. So book 3. What are you doing?
Well, I'm going to choose a book which I haven't read. How do you feel about that?
You're mocking the process now.
I know I am a little bit, but I thought I'd take advantage of the fact that I'm on this desert island to read a book which has been very important to me in my artistic process, in my career, and yet I've not read it. It's Lay on the Cam by Sylvain Chomet and Nicolas de Crécy.
I'm guessing this is French?
It's French, yep. And so when I think I mentioned I sort of was a bit stumped when it came to comics, and I didn't really see anything that was appealing to me, that looked like what I wanted to read. And then my mum went to Brussels, as mums do, and she came back with Lay on the Cam, which is it's such a good looking book. It's a brilliant book. It's written by the director of Belleville Rendezvous, but it's that kind of art style. Nicolas de Crécy I really love his artwork. It's very sort of loose and scratchy and emotional in a way that my work is very much not. And it's something that I kind of aspire to. But more than that, looking at this book, it felt like it was an actual story. It felt like it was a novel in comic format, which is what I wanted. I didn't want a serial, because I've never been into soaps. And so the idea of sitting down and starting X-Men in the middle, it just didn't. I want something with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
So how old were you when you read this?
I would have been about 16, I think, 15, 16. And it changed everything. I just started in art college, and it made me realize this is what I want to do. There is a way to draw. You can draw comics that are not all muscles and guns and boobs.
Right.
And, so I love it, but my French is it's not great, despite my partner being French and having had many years of French lessons. It's still it's shaky. So I've never really sat down to try to read it properly, because that's felt like it felt like a test that I'm going to fail.
What you need to do is make sure that you don't learn French. So that the actual meaning of it is something that remains in your head.
Yeah, it's entirely possible to make up your own stories, your own possibility. I was always a fan of those Ian Livingstone Choose Your Own Adventure books. So it's like a visual version of that.
All right, so we're a bit short of time. Let's move on to we had 3 already. So,
Yeah, I know, we're doing all right.
okay, we're
I
doing
mean, I've
okay.
got 40 years to go. So
Okay, book number 4. What's it going to
book
be?
number 4 is Blackwood by Hannah Eaton, which
Right now, this is something not many people will have read this as yet.
no, because it's hot on the shelves. It's freshly out. It's new.
But how are you even aware of this? What is it, and why have you chosen it?
I was sent it by Corinne Perlman of Myriad Editions, their publisher, because she wanted to know if I would write a quote for it. And I read it and very much did want to write a quote for it because, hot damn, it's amazing. And I think it will also make me want to stay on this island. My plan is to take it to this island, and then when I start to miss humanity, I will read this book and think, it's okay, I'm going to stay here. Because this book is it's very, very, very timely. It's brilliant. It's sort of folk horror, which is not a genre that I know a huge amount about, but that, you know, this idea of like a place in slightly rural England with sort of this, or a slightly rural place with like an inherent evil, and it's about this this sort of cycle of abuse almost that kind of repeats itself over generations. And it's really beautifully done, but it's so chilling. The very first scene is this mum waking up her children in the middle of the night to get them to flee in the woods, and we don't know why they're fleeing. She can't explain to them why they're fleeing, but they're very young, and she's trying to, she's telling them that they're reciting "We're going on a bear hunt," the Michael Rosen poem, and that's like that with the juxtaposition of that with the fear of what is happening it's really jarring, and the whole book is kind of like that, with this real like tangible sense of unease.
It is chilling. I suppose that the part of that is the constant switching between 1950 and the modern day. So whenever you're looking at the 1950s setting, the prejudice on display is open and naked. So, for example, a black man sitting at a bus stop is beaten to death. And nobody ever really gets
really grueling scene. Yeah,
absolutely grueling, and it's interlinked with his family back in the Caribbean reading a letter from him about what a wonderful time he's having.
Yeah, his wife and his young son.
It's gut wrenching. But then that's then interlinked with modern scenes where you have the feeling that the prejudice is still there, but just can't be so nakedly and openly expressed. But because you're just reading a bit from the 1950s, you're even more aware of the hatreds trying to find a way out of those characters.
Yeah, like it's just below the surface. It's barely concealed at all. I'm good friends with Hannah as well, which could have been awkward if I hadn't liked the book. She's one of those people that has a really sharp understanding of people. She's very, very good at reading people, and that comes out in the book so well.
Is Hannah the author? Is she one of the people out there who is unable to make a living from?
Yeah. Now we're in October and this book has been out for a month. She will have sold all the adaptation rights and she will be rocking a Porsche. But I mean, at this moment in time, she's not there yet. No.
It would make a great adaptation. I mean,
oh, I think so. Yeah.
Note, it would be superb. And the other thing about Blackwood is it's all just drawn with. Is it pencil?
It's all pencil. Yeah.
The whole thing. There's no colour.
No.
So it's
the setting of each panel, like you go into a house in the 1950s and there's the specific clock on the wall, and there's this picture on the mantelpiece, and there's this this kind of gas fire. The scenes are so well set, and it's all just done with pencil.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody needs to run out and buy Blackwood
urgently.
Okay. So you've got 4. So now we only need one more book.
Well, yeah. So the last one was Black Sad. I chose Arctic Nation, but I could have gone for any of them, I think. But Arctic Nation was the first one that I read. Black Sad is a graphic novel. It's a series of graphic novels by Juan Diaz Canales and Juanjo Guarnido, and
it's Spanish originally, is that right?
Spanish, and I think I'm right in saying they both work for Disney. And it's weird because there are Disney elements to the characters who are all anthropomorphized animals. Black Sad himself is a cat, private detective. And it's a very kind of a noirish detective series set through certain periods of American history.
So you've specifically chosen Arctic Nation, though, and it's called Arctic Nation because it's all about white supremacy, isn't it?
Basically, yeah.
Well, you've chosen two books that
I've not read.
No, you've chosen two books that tackle racism. Interestingly,
This is true, yeah.
and
Very hot right now.
Both of them.
Black lives do matter.
Yeah, and also both of them begin with the word black, oddly enough, and that's
this is true.
Coincidental.
Yeah.
Is that because it's an issue that means something particularly to you? Were you thinking of that when you chose these books?
Yeah, I mean, I found myself kind of I don't know, I suppose, like questioning my self and the way I go about things, the way that I could do things better, and trying to find ways to use my privilege and be more supportive. And yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that this survey will be a useful tool in that. It's shown that we're pretty in line with national statistics in terms of like race. When it comes to the high earners, all white, which means that there is a structural problem there.
Yes, absolutely.
So I mean, I'm hoping that we can use this, to make sure that everyone is, there's limited opportunities, but everyone is facing them equally.
Yes. You said there were Disney touches to it. What are the Disney touches?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you look at the characters, the characterization of the actual animals themselves, like they look like Disney characters. You can see that the
I can see a bit of Jessica Rabbit, I suppose.
but you can see that Juanito especially has been like Disney trained because of he's been trained in animation because of the way the characters are moving.
Yeah.
There's definitely that feeling of being mid motion.
Yes.
You don't feel that?
Absolutely. I also think he's very, very good at keeping the characteristics of the individual animal that he's drawing, whilst at the same time making them function as humans in a convincing manner. Okay. Now, you get to take with you one luxury item to the desert island. Have you thought about this?
I'm going to take my Xbox. I'm taking my Xbox, and I'm taking. I'm currently playing Dragon Age, Inquisition in the evenings. My little half-an-hour treat. And if I'm stuck on a desert island for 40 years, it's a very long game. I might finish it by then.
Okay, all right. So you're taking an Xbox with one specific. By the way, can I just point out? I think you've drifted into the sea during this interview.
Oh, sorry. Let me just.
No, that's better.
Tide's coming in.
Okay. Okay, and you get to take with you a favourite flavour of crisps.
It's a really tough choice. I think it's probably going to be nice and spicy knickknacks.
Nice and spicy knobbly knickknacks.
Yeah, nice and spicy knickknacks. Okay. Came in an orange packet.
Right. Well,
as you can tell, I haven't had them for a long time.
You're the first person to choose a snack that I have absolutely no knowledge of, but
that might not exist anymore.
Well, no. If they do, you're welcome to the entire, global stock. Take it away.
Thanks.
And there is also the question of the biscuit.
Well, I mean, would you consider a Tunnocks tea cake a biscuit? Because.
Yep, absolutely. You can have that. Okay. Beautiful, iconic wrapping.
It's got a biscuit in it, so I thought that might. It's like a biscuit with an extension.
Are you one of those who likes to bite off the whole of the marshmallowy top and then just chomp the biscuit, or do you just eat it?
No, I eat it cross section. I did. If I'd gone for a Kit Kat, I would then. That's one where I would eat it from the top, layer by layer.
But you've got your Tunnocks. Okay, well, so. It only remains for me to say, thank you very, very much. You've put together the most eclectic set of books that we've yet had.
Yes.
I think you're the first person to choose one that actually hasn't even been published at the point of the interview, and also one that you've never actually read.
It's because I want to. I mean, I'm going strategically onto this island. I've got books that I want to remind me how awful humanity is, and I've got books that I can enjoy reading. Finally.
Fantastic. All right. Well, listen, Hannah, thank you so much, and have a lovely time on the desert island. But we really look forward to seeing you in real life very, very soon again.
Lovely talking to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Anna Berry. Thank you.